Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the East Bay Fund for Artists 2022-2023 webinar. My name is Anika Howard. I am the fund manager. And we are going to be getting started with today's webinar. Just giving a little bit of space and time for folks to come on in and join us. A little bit of housekeeping. This webinar should last about 30 minutes and will provide an overview of the application process for this year's East Bay Fund for Artists Grant Awards. If you have questions as we move through the webinar, there is a chat feature, and I want to encourage everyone to put questions in the chat box as we move through. We will share this PowerPoint with you, and the recorded webinar will be available on the East Bay Fund for Artists website. Just going to give one more minute for folks to come on through. Thank you for joining us, everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Once again, welcome to the East Bay Fund for Artists 2022-2023 round webinar. My name is Anika Howard, and I'm the fund manager supporting the East Bay Community Foundation with this process. I want to start with the origins of the fund and give a little bit of background. Since its creation in 2003, the East Bay Fund for Artists has partnered with more than 9,500 community donors and more than 200 organizations to commission new works by over 300 local artists. The East Bay Fund for Artists has leveraged almost $3.1 million in new financial support for the arts in the East Bay. In 2019, the East Bay Fund for Artists at the East Bay Community Foundation refined its programmatic focus to invest in individual artists and arts organizations rooted in low-income communities of color and other disadvantaged communities to commission new work that advances racial justice and social equity, while also expanding their individual donor base through matching grants. Based on research that showed that individual artists were not adequately compensated, if at all, this fund designates funding directly to the commissioned artists, whether that's composers, playwrights, choreographers, visual artists, media artists. The fund is committed to the diversity of artistic practices and organizations, as well as providing opportunities for disadvantaged communities to experience art that represents their culture and history, in addition to building their own individual donor base to sustain their work. The fund was originally supported by leveraging investments in creativity, a nationwide initiative of the Ford Foundation. The fund is currently supported by the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, Mackenzie Scott, and Dan Jewett, and the donors of East Bay Community Foundation. And we're looking forward to continuing this work and making it happen for 2022. I'm going to pause just to also lift up Melody Roshan, who is joining us and supporting the webinar today. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A feature. We're going to track them, and we'll have an opportunity to share those questions and answers towards the end. Pardon me. Okay, next slide, please. So we're going to provide an overview of the fund and the guidelines, including eligibility, the process for applying, the timeline, and also a Q&A that answers the questions at the end of the presentation, as I just mentioned. One of the updates that took place over the last couple of years was that we do not require a match for this grant. There is no match required. Beginning with eligibility, in order to be eligible for this fund, you must not have been an East Bay Fund for Artists awardee during the 2021 calendar year. Organizations must be located in the East Bay and commissioning a Bay Area artist or artists living in the East Bay. A fiscal sponsor is required for artists and organizations without their own 501c3. And it is a commissioning program that is supporting new work. East Bay artists and East Bay organizations must be rooted in Alameda and Contra Costa counties. The full guidelines and application are available online at the following links. You should see this on your screen, but I'll also read it out. www.ebcf.org/community/EBFA. There also is a link on the website directly to the online portal where the actual application is. One of the first questions that folks have regarding the application is, do you have to be an organization to apply? No, the East Bay Fund for Artists welcomes applications from both individual artists living in the East Bay or organizations, and again, Alameda and Contra Costa counties. Just going back a little bit to the fiscal sponsor. Yes, a fiscal sponsor is required to receive funds on your behalf. Your fiscal sponsor does not have to be in the East Bay or the Greater Bay Area. They can be based in other California regions, the West Coast, the East Coast, like New York or other states. If you're applying as an organization, you must be based in the East Bay, specifically Alameda and Contra Costa counties. If your organization is acting as a fiscal sponsor, organizations can sponsor more than one application, but it must be for distinct projects. Another question we get is this opportunity open to international artists? No, artists must be, and organizations must be located in the East Bay. In terms of eligibility and what type of artistic disciplines are eligible, it is a broad range. Of course, it is visual arts, performing arts, theater arts, literary arts, and even film making. For filmmakers, we need to see that the budget is under $50,000 to complete the project, or that you show that you have other significant project support. Our intention is that works commissioned by the East Bay Fund for Artists premiere within 1 year of the grant award. So we prefer to support small budget projects such as works in progress or short films specifically for filmmaking, or projects that are in post-production phase. Again, the other disciplines include theater, music, visual arts, literary arts, dance. And in terms of the time duration for eligibility, can you apply to multiple rounds? Once again, if you received an award in 2021, you're ineligible to receive an award in this round. You can only be a lead artist on one project, and organizations can be a fiscal sponsor and an applicant. So let's discuss the guidelines and the application in greater detail. In the previous slide, I showed the link to the website. The first link will take you to the application online, providing a summary of the grant opportunity. At the very top of the web page, you'll see a summary for organizations as well as for artists, including frequently asked questions for each type of applicant. The second link will take you directly to the application. And in 2019, we rolled out a new form using SurveyMonkey that makes it much simpler process to apply. We're continuing to use this platform. So here we are on the focus around what type of application should I apply? Should I apply as an individual artist or as an organization? And here are a few questions to help you guide your decision. Most importantly, who is leading the work? Is this an organization that is commissioning artists to develop a project in alignment with the organization's mission and commitment to East Bay artists and audiences? Is this an individual artist who's developed the project and is working with other artists and other creatives to deliver the project? Who will facilitate and support the project and process for developing the work? Lastly, whose donor base is being expanded? Again, this is not a matching grant requirement. However, when you're thinking about support, audience, et cetera, a question around whose base is being expanded can help you determine who the lead applicant should be. In terms of the application checklist, we have the left side is focusing on organizations and what's required, and the right is focusing on artists. You'll see that you'll need a cover sheet. You'll need a narrative that describes your project. You'll need to provide a project budget, a project timeline, an artist statement, as well as work samples. For organizations, you need an organizational budget, both current and previous. Artists will need a presenting venue letter of commitment or a commitment that working with an East Bay organization to present and premiere your work. Again, work samples with descriptions. And for the artist, you need to also have a fiscal sponsor letter of commitment, and you'll need to provide the organization budget for your fiscal sponsor. The checklist looks very similar, and the main difference between the two applications, as I just mentioned, is that individual artists have to have both a letter of commitment from a venue or host, and you must also have a fiscal sponsor letter of commitment. The East Bay Fund for Artists grant awards will be determined by a panel. And what the panel will be looking for has not changed much. If you've applied in the past, this will sound very familiar. They are looking at the creation of new work in support of individual artists. They'll ask questions like, can lead artists hold multiple roles? Yes. For example, if the lead artist is a composer or a director and also a performer. If the lead artist is a choreographer and a performer, a theater director and a performer, that is okay. We're looking to support artists and organizations that are underrepresented in the ecosystem. We're looking, the panel is looking that there's a clear vision with strong artistic practice. They are looking for the engagement with the community and audience and being able to really describe and determine how that process will happen, what the goals are, how this work is going to speak to that particular community and audience, and also the strength of social justice themes and issues. Does the work meaningfully engage in these issue areas? Does the work speak to current social justice issues or speak to issues happening in impacted communities? And what is the work saying about a social justice related theme or history? For artists in the artist statement, it's very critical that you answer the following questions. How does this particular work fit with your practice? What inspired you to do this work or create this new work? And again, which audiences do you plan to engage? For organizations, we're looking to find out how this particular work fits with your organizational mission. What inspired you to commission the work? What relationships do you have with the artists and communities that you believe this work will speak to? How do you plan to engage those audiences thoughtfully and authentically? East Bay Fund for Artists funds and requests must be allocated to the lead artist. Our current funding allocation is from $5,000 to $25,000. This slide is showing 16, but the actual total amount is up to $25,000 this year. Moving on to the budget. This is a sample budget. We want you to be realistic and include all the costs and let us know what this work requires. Both organizations and individuals need to present a budget. Your budget can look different than what you see on the screen here. There are different approaches. However, these basic elements need to be present. We want you to identify where you're going to get funds from to support the project. Here is an example of a budget that's available along with other samples on the EBFA website. This is a very, very bare minimum budget, and we also recognize that projects will likely require support from other organizations, other philanthropic entities, other forms of financial support. So we want to see also how you're allocating the resources from East Bay Fund for Artists for your project. A question that comes up is, must all the other funding that is secured be funded through EBFA? Again, no. However, 100% of EBFA funds must go to the lead artist or artists, plural. Any funds raised outside of the East Bay Fund for Artists can be used for other aspects of the production, whether that's other performers, production costs, materials or supplies, venue rentals, other forms of support and resource allocation that will get the project completed and premiered. So here's the budget template. Again, this should be available to download on the website. We'd like to understand what income or support you have for the project, what expenses you have for the project. So again, how the panel will score applications is a clear articulation of the project and how it aligns with the artist practice, creative development, and/or the organization's mission, practice, and creative development. A demonstrated ability to complete the project. What the plans are to reach or engage the identified audiences. Understanding who the audience is, what their characteristics are. The strength of the social justice themes and issues. We'll look at the artist's history. We'll look at the track record for organizations and artists in working together to accomplish this project. Panelists will be looking to see if this new work is a departure or new direction, and how the funds from the East Bay Fund for Artists will support that new direction or support the collaboration between the artist community, and the organizations. We're looking for alignment in terms of organizational applications, why the organization is choosing this artist and the work to be commissioned. Is there a clear vision behind this new commission? Does the work fit with the organization's history? Is it a meaningful addition to the organization's work and where the organization is headed? And again, the organization's ability to manage the project, offer the artists the support they need, and the feasibility to produce the work. Moving on to work samples, we ask for 1 to 2 samples per lead artist. This can be an audio or video. If it is audio or video, it can be a link, and we ask for no more than 3 minutes. If you are applying as a playwright, you can upload a script. It should be no more than 10 pages. There is no need to submit an entire script, just a sample. If you have applied in the past, you have probably sent physical copies of the work sample. That is no longer required. All of the work samples can be uploaded through the online portal on SurveyMonkey. They can be uploaded through a link via YouTube or Vimeo. If you are uploading photos, we ask for a caption under the photos and one photo per slide in a PowerPoint. Any images uploaded must be uploaded as a PowerPoint. For the timeline, apologies, these dates are a little incorrect. So I'm going to say out loud what the dates are for 2022, just to remind you. It's very close to last year, but the deadline to apply this year is October 3rd, not October 4th, 2022 by 5 p.m. The panel will review applications through October. The target date to notify applications and process grant awards will be in early November. The panel decision will come in early November. The grant award will be allocated in late November, and the premiere of the work must be within 1 year of receiving your award. So again, the deadline to apply is October 3rd, 2022 by 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We want to encourage you to get your applications in well before that time, well before that deadline. We will not be able to process late applications. If there are any questions, hiccups, or challenges around accessing the application, we want you to also go to the website and really review the application on SurveyMonkey and also check the FAQs for any support you might need. This is a review of fiscal sponsors as just a final look, remembering that fiscal sponsors are required for all individual artists and organizations without their 501c3. This is a very stringent requirement. Here are some examples of fiscal sponsors with a long track record of supporting artists in the East Bay. We have a fuller list that can be downloaded online. Many local nonprofits provide sponsorship to smaller projects. So if you've worked closely with a nonprofit organization in the past, ask if they have sponsorship opportunities. If you have a fiscal sponsor that's not on this list, that is not a problem. As we started at the top of the webinar, your fiscal sponsor is not required to be in the Bay Area, in Oakland, or in the East Bay. However, the work, the project, the organization, and the artist must be embedded in the East Bay. So with that, I want to check out the questions in the chat and see what we have here.
Hi, Anika, before you go, could I have 1 minute to share a couple things with the?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Anika. Hi, everyone. My name is Melody Roshan, Program Manager here at EBCF. There's one quick correction that we have. I just put in the chat that we have updated the EBFA website and all the content, including guidelines on how to pull together a budget, but there is no actual download for a sample budget available. Once we're done with this webinar, I will share these slides and also the actual video to this, like the webinar, onto the website too. So you will have access to both of these things. But those were pretty much it. Otherwise, all the questions are in the Q&A. And Anika, if you want to just answer it live, I can start typing as you go through to have it both for accessibility.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Melody. I really appreciate it. Yes, the website has been updated. All of the information that you need, whether you're an individual artist or an organization, is available for you on the website. Definitely want to encourage everyone to go back to the website, look at it closely. At the very top of the site, there is a link to view application requirements for organizations and application requirements for artists. They're different. There's also FAQs that apply to individual artists and organizations specifically. You will be applying online using the online portal in SurveyMonkey, which is also on the website. So I'm going to go to the questions that I see and ask them out loud. Should this question be answered from the applying organization or their fiscal sponsor? Have you ever received funding from the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation? That should be answered from the applicant. So if the applicant is an individual artist with a fiscal sponsor, it's the individual artist that is responding. If it's an organization applying for project support, it's the organization. The fiscal sponsor, remember, is acting as an agent to receive and administer the funds and support the full production of the project. Thank you for that question. There's another question that is coming in that says, I'm an artist with a fiscally sponsored organization for my projects. I am being commissioned by my fiscal sponsor to create new work for their festival. Should the organization narrative questions be answered from the perspective of my fiscal sponsor? For example, how will this work fit with or depart from the regular work of your organization? And what supports do you have for the artist through the commissioning process beyond their commissioning fee? I'm just reading that again, making sure I understand it clearly. Okay, so an individual artist is applying and they're being commissioned by their fiscal sponsor to create new work. So it sounds like actually it's the organization that is the applicant and the artist is the lead artist creating new work for their festival. So how this work fits in or departs from the regular work of the organization is a question for the organization, and the organization should be able to describe why it is partnering, collaborating with individual artists on this new work that's being commissioned. The organization should be able to describe how the support they have for the artist through the commissioning process beyond their commissioning fee. All right, so Salima Jones, thank you. Your question is, can you clarify what new work consists of? So this is a new work commissioning program or fund. And so this is work that hasn't been premiered before. It could be work that has been in development, for example, as we described with filmmaking projects, projects that have been in process, but need the funding and support to be finished and to go into post-production, for example. It could be a dance project that has been in development for a while, but has never been premiered before. And there's a partnership with other artists or other organizations through the fund and through the potential support of the fund, enabling that project and that vision to be realized and premiered. So new work is work that has not been seen before, that has not been presented before. Thank you for that question. Langston Williams. If my fiscal sponsor was awarded in 2021, but me as an artist did not, would I be able to use them as a sponsor? Yes. Your fiscal sponsor can apply on your behalf for your individual artist project. If I am applying as an organization, should the organization budget be for the fiscal sponsor or the fiscal sponsee? So again, let's see if I can go back to my slides here. Oh, pardon me. I apologize. I'm going to just stop sharing for a minute. The organizational budget is required for fiscally sponsored projects. Yes. Moving on to Katie Nelson. Can the lead artist redistribute their funds to collaborators? So this fund is for lead artists, whether that's artist one, singular or plural. You need to be able to show how the funds will be allocated. Redistribute is maybe not the language we might use. We would like to see in your budget how these resources will be used to support the project. So if you have multiple artists working on this project and you have identified their roles and what allocation goes with that line item, that's what we want to see. If we don't have PowerPoint, this is Ari. If we don't have PowerPoint, can we submit a PDF of a slide deck? My understanding is that you need to use PowerPoint and upload a PowerPoint through the portal. Melody is also answering the question and may help me with a little bit more of the technicalities there. If you are having some trouble with like uploading items, you are able to send us an email, but we really would prefer everything to be uploaded to the portal. Thank you, Melody. I see another question. If we use a fiscal sponsor, will the artist need to pay them their cut separately from EBFA funds? That is because all the EBFA funds have to go to the artist. So if I received a $10,000 award, they would want a part of that and I'd have to pay them from a different source of funding. Am I correct? So we do know that fiscal sponsors charge fees for their fiscal sponsorship. And you should be able to show that in the budget. But yes, the funds that are from the East Bay Fund for Artists need to go to the lead artist. How many awards will be made? That really depends on the project applications. It's going to be determined by the panelists' decision on how much resources are available for this round and the amount of each project. So it really depends. The range that you can apply for is from $5,000 to $25,000. Ben, please put your questions in the Q&A section. And we have a few more questions here. Tanya asks, what percentage of the project budget will be funded? Meaning, what would be the overall budget for a project to receive $25,000? So the EBFA fund will fund up to 75% of the total project. That is also available on the FAQs, and that information is available on the website. So definitely go back to the website and take a look there. David, presented publicly, right? Private performances are okay for works in progress. My documentation does show an audience. David, I don't think that I understand your question completely. I'm going to make an assumption. The fund is used to support to commission the creation of new works that is going to be presented and premiered in the East Bay publicly. If that is via Zoom or some hybrid version, if that is in person, if that is outside, but it must be premiered in the East Bay. So private performance is not exactly the same thing. Ben, thank you for your question. Does the commissioning organization have to be in the East Bay, or is a San Francisco organization eligible to apply? I'm being asked to make a short film about an organization in San Francisco. Would it be better if the organization applied, or if I should apply as an individual artist? Would the finished work have to be shown first in the East Bay? Well, Ben, this fund is specifically for the commissioning of new works by East Bay artists and organizations for East Bay audiences. That's Alameda and Contra Costa County. So it does not sound like that project, based on the description and what you shared in the Q&A, is aligned with the criteria of the fund, because it's focused on San Francisco, a San Francisco story, a San Francisco organization. Thank you for those questions, everyone. Looks like we've got everything answered. I'm pausing here. I think I hear Melody, you're speaking.
Yeah. Hi, Anika. I think we have two questions in the regular chat that we didn't get to go through, one from Hannah and one from Nana.
Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, Hannah. Hannah says, hello, do organizations submit videos/photos of the organization or lead artists primarily? So you're going to submit work samples that give the panelists a sense of what your project is about and also what your art making practice is about as an individual artist or as an organization, something that reflects what the project is going to be become or reflects what the organization has done. Ben, I answered your question and thank you for that. Thank you, Hannah. Naina, I hope that I'm pronouncing your name right. You are asking if a portion of the work has been presented, but it will work more on more work. Would that be considered new work? I think what you're asking is if a work has been presented and now it's being changed or it's evolved and it has new elements, it's grown, it has evolved in some way, would that be considered new work? I think we might have to take that on a case-by-case basis, and the panelists would have to determine if they feel like it is meeting the criteria once they review the application. But we would expect for new work that's being commissioned to really be new work and to not have seen in that be seen or premiered in that iteration before. I see a couple more questions. I want to make sure that I get everything. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Naina. Thank you, David. Thank you, Ben. Let's see, Salima Jones. You have another question. The project I've been asked to present has been done via the internet, but not live. Is that acceptable as new work? Ooh, good question. It's been premiered live. Salima, I would encourage you to send us an email to follow up on that. I'll have to talk to our team, but we are looking to support new work that hasn't been premiered or been seen before. If the work is evolving or changing, maybe. Jada, when I first completed the questions on eligibility, it said that you are not eligible. You believe that you are, and you couldn't figure out why it said that. Should I no longer apply? Jada, I would ask you to go back to the application, start over, try again. The eligibility quiz is pretty straightforward. So maybe, I don't know if there was something that you clicked and it didn't quite capture the correct answer. I would try it again. If you have questions about that, once you try it again, feel free to email us. I'm going to, let's see, put the email in the chat. If you have more specific individualized questions, you want even a more complete fiscal sponsorship list, or anything else comes up for you during the process of applying, please do email us at ebfa@eastbaycf.org. Thank you for everyone who has emailed or checked in the last week or so. I will be getting back to you. I will be following up. This webinar has been recorded, so it'll be available on the website, and we will also ensure that everyone that registered for today's webinar receives the PowerPoint presentation. So with that, we're going to, and the PowerPoint will be available on the website. Thank you, Melody, for that. Thank you, KT. More news, Melody?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, y'all, we'll just be putting the PowerPoint and the webinar on the website. So just go directly there. It's more efficient than getting the email list out. So just go straight there. I'll have it up there by hopefully end of day today.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Melody. Thank you on behalf of the EBCF team and the EBFA team. Thank you all for joining us. These resources are available to you. We are here to support wherever we can. Please definitely get your applications in well before the deadline. Don't wait, because the system could crash if you all come in very late, and we will not be able to extend the time or reopen up applications. So please do We're looking forward to receiving your applications and supporting the work of East Bay artists and organizations. Thank you all so much. Please take care.